Joe is going to give us a nice dad joke to start it off because I'm not as funny as Mark or Justin.
Hey, everybody, I bought some shoes from a drug dealer. I don't know what he laced them with, but I tripped them all day.
Thank you, Joe.
Good job, Joe.
All right, we will get started. So today we are talking about time management, which is one of my favorite things to do is manage my family calendar. My husband does not like it as much, but he survives. So just a few quotes on time management and planning. The key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. Time management is life management. Time is a creative thing. To say I don't have time is like saying I don't want to. The way we spend our time defines who we are. And for planning, a goal without a plan is just a wish. By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. If you do not know where you are going, you'll end up someplace else. And plan your work for today and every day, then work your plan. So on these ones, I try to make sure my day is pretty planned out so that I know exactly what I'm doing. My kids know where they're going. My husband knows what he's supposed to be doing with the kids or what he's covering. If I'm like here at a meeting today, he is taking, he picked up our daughter from daycare, and then he took one of our kids to their choir concert. But it was all in our calendar, so he was able to make sure he was staying on the schedule that we've created for our family. Some reasons for ineffective time management. Sometimes people are just not aware of how important time management is or how to effectively manage their time. Procrastination, which even though I do use a calendar and I do try to plan out most of my day, there are days where I'm like, I don't feel like doing this and I'll just do it tomorrow. And then that leads us to a point where we just don't complete tasks at all, or we get very close to a deadline and then we're rushing and not putting our best foot forward or putting in the most effort that we can to accomplish whatever the task may be. Sometimes people feel overwhelmed by all the things they need to get done, and just getting it down on paper or starting the task may be difficult for some. Some people are just not good at planning and organizing their tasks, or making sure that their day is planned out, which leads to inefficiencies and wasted time. And some people just don't have the motivation or don't have the goals set out that would help them to prioritize and manage their time with time blocking or goal setting or things of that nature. Just ways to become more effective at time management. Goal setting. So setting clear and achievable goals can help you provide a sense of direction and purpose. It can help you to feel less overwhelmed and to not lack a sense of motivation. Breaking larger goals into smaller manageable tasks can help you to achieve the larger goal. I know in our RevShare pod, this is something that we went over last week, was picking 2 or 3 goals that we want to achieve over the next few months, and then breaking it down into a few tasks that would help us achieve that goal. And then once we all do those things, then we will come back together and we will prioritize the activities for each goal, and see which ones we can put in our day-to-day. That would either be a daily goal, weekly goal, or monthly goal, or task, not goal, I'm sorry. And then that would help us to make sure we're prioritizing each of those goals and setting time for each accordingly, whether, again, that's daily, weekly, or monthly. And then time blocking, that will help you to stick to a schedule. Sometimes people, I'm guilty of it as well. Sometimes I have something on my calendar, like I said, and then I just find something else to do. So time blocking usually helps me to stay on task, make sure I'm getting things done that I need to take care of for my real estate business or for personal or for my job. And I usually use a calendar. Sometimes I write down what I need to do for the day on a post-it note because I enjoy physically like checking the box or crossing something out when I finish it for the day. And I do that at home and at work, as well as for real estate. And to kind of just give you guys an example, this was like our weekly calendar. This was just for our family and for real estate back in September. So that's when my kids have a lot of activities and a lot of things to do. But I usually do my real estate items at night after my kids go to bed. And then all of their activities I keep on the calendar during the day. Sometimes there's overlaps of practices depending on what kid has to do what. So we really have to divide and conquer. And then I work from 7:30 until about 4:30. So if we go to like my weekly calendar for this week, I did add in my own work schedule and then kept all of my kids' items, family items in there, real estate's down here. My husband owns his own business, so we got things in there for him. It's almost tax time, so preparing our taxes and making sure we're getting all of that done for the year. Does anyone have any questions so far? I don't see anything in the chat. All right, so I think prioritization and time management all starts with setting your goals. So setting your goals can increase motivation and clarity, enhances your focus and direction. It will improve performance and productivity and a greater sense of achievement and satisfaction. So in my opinion, when you know exactly what you're supposed to be doing or you have a clear focus, then you are able to accomplish more versus if you're just winging it every day and trying to figure out what you should be doing. I don't think that that really helps anyone because you're not going to achieve as much if you are constantly just going with the flow of however life tells you. And then strategies, again, breaking down your goals into actionable steps. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard of SMART goals, but it's supposed to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So that it just shouldn't be an indefinite goal. So either I prefer to start with my 12-month goal or my annual goal, and then I like to break it up into quarterly goals so that I'm able to take smaller chunks of whatever I want to prioritize instead of trying to take on the whole year at one time. Taking on a quarter allows for me to be more actionable and it makes me feel like I'm achieving more than if I try to say by December 31st, I want to make $60,000 in real estate. That seems like a very lofty goal versus if I say in the next 3 months, I want to make $15,000. That seems more achievable and reasonable. And it also makes it time bound. And then from that, I would prioritize tasks and manage my time efficiently and effectively. And then I like to celebrate, I don't know, buy myself a little gift if I have a closing or, if I get a new client and, we're working well. Sometimes people like to buy closing gifts for their clients. So just all depends on what kind of person you are. Maybe you go out to dinner, maybe you buy yourself a new bottle of wine or whatever, a box of tea, whatever you would like to enjoy your achievement. Time blocking. So I think it is useful for time blocking if you try to multitask. I have a problem with that where I try to get 2 or 3 things done at once. It's not very effective. It doesn't really give you time allocated or focused to one particular task when you're trying to do so much. And sometimes having kids at home, that also impacts me being able to focus on one task and reduce distractions. So oftentimes I stay up very late and I do things after the kids go to bed so that I can be very intentional about my time and I can focus and not worry about someone asking me 10 questions. Um, and then I try to make sure that I plan out my week because for me, that's important. I don't always have time each day to go through and plan out what I need to do for that third day or for the next day. Now, I do give myself flexibility that if my day tomorrow is going to change or something went awry during the day, then I am able to shift and figure out what else I need to be doing or what I can squeeze in the next day or if I accomplished a lot of my tasks for the day, then I'll see what I can pull in from the next day. And I think time blocking is also very helpful if you struggle with overworking. That is me sometimes. I like to help everyone and take on a lot, and all that does not always work in your favor. Even though you're being helpful to other people, it can also impact your goals and what you're doing. So what I start with is my priorities first. I identify what I need to do for the day, for each day in the week. So I start with my work schedule, then I add in my, that is what I do Monday through Friday from 7:30 to 4:30. So that's always constant. And then I add in the kids' schedules and what the kids need to do. With my husband, he is self-employed. So if there are things that he needs to do, if he's got to work late or if he's got to leave the house early and we need to switch how we do the schedules with the kids, I make sure that those are all prioritized first. And then whatever else outside of real estate. So like today, we're doing this class from 6 to 7. So I made sure I assigned time for driving here, setting up because this was my first time presenting. So I wanted to make sure we didn't have any glitches. And then time for the class, maybe if people have questions, and then driving back home. So that's all accounted for instance, for just this one class. And then I'm more productive at the end of the day for my personal stuff. So I can't be productive during work hours. So usually after 9 o'clock is when I set myself up for the things that I need to do. And then, like I said, block off personal time. And then I schedule my time blocks just based on what needs to get done and what is already blocked off from step 4. I do allow for interruptions. So I know that if I'm trying to get something done between, we'll call it 5 and 8:30, my kids are going to come and interrupt me for sure. So I do allow for that. And just like during my work day, if I have meetings all day, I know people are going to stop by, even if I'm on a Zoom call with, someone else, they are going to come, they're going to stop on the desk and they will ask me questions. So I try to put 30 minutes on my calendar twice a day to just allow for those interruptions or to try to get work done in between meetings because I'm in meetings for most of my day. And then once you are trying this, adjusting as you need to is best. So don't stay hard and fast on each item as far as time blocking. If you need to give more time to something because you realize, oh, this took me an hour instead of 45 minutes, or this is only taking me 30 minutes instead of an hour, you can do that as well. So practice time blocking, and then that will just help you be more consistent. And then it won't be such a struggle and it'll become more of a habit when you are scheduling your week or your month. And that is all that I had. That went much quicker than I thought it would. But I will open it up for questions, or if anyone wants to see examples, I can pull up examples as well.
So Malika, it's Dana. I have a couple question or so. So, I mean, how do you really like, if you have to, let's see, what's the word I'm trying to think? If something has to give, how do you know, like, what do you give up? Like, do you give up your personal time or your real estate time or your work time? Like, how do you prioritize, um, those things? So, I mean, if something comes up and there's a glitch in the schedule and you have to postpone a task, how do you decide on what task or what area that you're going to postpone?
I would say that it all comes down to your priorities. Mark always tells us that, family, faith, and social life are the most important before real estate. Um, but for me, it just depends if I can shift with my, like, let's say that it's something with my kids that I need to have my husband take the kids to so that I can help someone else with real estate stuff. Then we just really talk about it. And if it works for his schedule, great. If it doesn't, then I try to um, reschedule the real estate to a time that works. If it is something with real estate, for instance, this weekend was not originally on my schedule, but I ended up going to two properties on Sunday, no, Saturday morning. I had one on the schedule and then one kind of popped up in a time that I wasn't expecting. So for me, it wasn't a part of my priorities, but I just made it work. If I have to give up something that is my priority, I would look at my calendar for the week and see if there's somewhere else where I can fit it in. Like I'll go back to my calendar for the week. So this is this week. So today I would have loved to go to my daughter's choir concert. She just told me about it last week. So for instance, I knew that I was here and teaching the AMP class. So my husband handled that and I am here. She also had a basketball game today. So I emailed the coach and told her that she would miss the basketball game because her school stuff comes first. So we just kind of had to reprioritize. School was first for her, so she had to miss the last basketball game, but it's just finding out what is the priority or what's important. Do you have like an example at all, Dana?
No, not necessarily.
I would say start with your goals and your priorities. So if real estate is like your main focus, for instance, if it's not necessarily on the priority list and you're able to move something else, or you can push something off to tomorrow or Thursday, then I would do it. But if not, then I would just figure out how to not make the other request or new task as important.
Thank you, Malika.
Thank you for the question.
Maleeka, do you have a way that you approach clients that are like continually like kind of, I don't know how to say it, but basically, they're like, oh no, I need to see it right now. When, it's like, okay, I've shown you 5 properties every day this week.
I would say for that, so I typically work with investors. And so there was a time where my husband and I were going to see a ton of houses. Some, of course, my husband couldn't see that were on market, but there were other ones that he could see. Eventually we got to a point where we said, hey, we're going to look at photos. We are going to see if this makes sense, if it works. And then then we'll go see the house. So I would say with traditional buyers, same thing. If there are things from the photos, I would ask them very politely to review the photos, see if the square footage, the style of the home fits their needs. If, they got there and it looked like the pictures, but they want to put an offer in, I would be very kind, but also very direct in saying, this is taking up a lot of time. you don't like it and kind of just like it, then you're probably not going to want to put an offer in.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I would say everyone's time is super valuable, so going in and doing the best for our clients is what we should do, but also valuing our own time, something we also need to do.
Hey, Maleeka, this is Lori.
Hi, Lori.
Hi, I'm kind of having the same problem because I've been looking at houses with someone for 2 months now, and we're looking in a very limited area. So I feel like every time something comes up, she's wanting to see it, and that can be several times a week. And I just don't know what is realistic. Like, is that realistic to be able to just drop everything and go see houses all the time?
I would say no. What you can do is maybe, if not every day, but like every other day, since you're working full time, set up time slots where you're open to showing houses. And then that would alleviate the need to feel obligated to go every day. So maybe Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, from 6 to 8, you're okay with going to show houses. And then certain times on Saturday or Sunday, but if you kind of set the boundaries for your own schedule, then you can set the boundaries for your client.
Yeah, and I feel like part of the problem is like these houses in these areas are going up for like a day. So if we don't go see it, it could be gone the next day.
So I would say that's where the balance comes in. Either if she really liked the photos and it is a winner, and I would maybe go back to her and see like what are the boxes that the house must check for you to, want to pull the offer in or want to see it. And if it has, all of the non-negotiables, then and you can make it work, then I would do that. But if there are things about the house that you both know she's not going to like, then I would maybe just double check with her to make sure so that you're not wasting your time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Mhm. So Joe also recommends blocking off time to be able to show properties as well.
Okay.
And I will show you guys while we're.
Hi, Maleeka. This is Carla.
Hi, Carla.
Hi. Which calendar do you utilize the most? Do you have more than one, like a paper copy, or is it strictly Google?
I use Google for work. We have Outlook, and then what else do I use? That just works for us because I can keep my husband abreast of all of the different activities. But I mean, if paper planners work for you, or printing out a page every month or every week, you can do whatever would work best for you. There's also different apps for time management. I don't use those just for the simple fact that I'm not good at carrying anything around or using other apps. So I just use Google Calendar.
Thank you.
And then I'll go ahead. I'm sorry.
Hi, Maleeka. This is Antoinette. And this is, I know we talk about your social life, everything that you're trying to balance, but how do you balance self-care in this whole schedule that you have? Because that's one of my struggles sometimes, I don't get enough sleep half the time because I'm up late. Trying to get things done, and weekends is also busy. But how do you put, self-care in everything that you're doing?
let's see. I'm a terrible person to ask, but I would recommend that you just schedule it. So you find a day or a few hours once a month and put it on there before anything else gets put on the calendar for the month. That's what I would recommend doing. I don't do it. Self-care for me is, I guess, driving to work 3 days a week and driving home by myself from work. That's my alone time where there's no one in the car with me. I get
Okay.
some solitude for 30 minutes, but I would say block it off. Because if that's a priority for you for this year is to, make sure you're taking time for yourself, then I would definitely just put it on the calendar and don't move it around.
Okay, thank you.
So this is Dana. I just have a comment on Antoinette's question. So I think everybody is a little bit different depending on their schedule. So, Maleeka has a full-time job, so it's kind of hard for her to find self-care. I myself, real estate's my full-time job. So my priority is self-care first, because if I'm not well, I can't provide to others, whether it's my family, my clients, my colleagues. So if I'm not well, whether it's mentally, physically, emotionally, I can't provide that back. So I actually make self-care a priority. That's just and it works for me. Now that may not work for everybody else, because if you have a full-time job as well as trying to do real estate full-time, it can be challenging, but in my role, that's what I do. So.
Okay, thank you so much.
Hey, Dana, quick question. So before you started doing real estate full-time and you had your full-time job previously, how did you manage self-care?
So my previous job, I worked 4:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., which was a really tough schedule. So I had to get up at 3 a.m. every day for work. So I always made sure I literally came home and took like a 30-minute nap, because I needed that to recharge. Now I was in a very toxic work environment, so it drained me mentally. So I forced myself to either take a 30-minute nap or 30-minute walk, get outside, ride my bike, do something like physical activity helped. Because I couldn't really find myself recharged if I wasn't helping myself. So even just like a little 30-minute nap sometimes helped me, or getting outside and working out. But you definitely have to have some kind of meditation or activity to recharge your mind. So that's what I did. And then I finally quit my job and my life was a lot better. But anyways, that's a different story. So.
Thank you. So I will show you guys, there's a website called the 12-week year. I know Mark has been going over it with some people, but I don't know if he's gone over it with all of you. Just for an example of how to set a goal with subtasks in there. This particular example was to earn 40,000 in gross commission income. Some of this is very old compared to what we would do today. Take 2 clients out to breakfast, lunch each week. Call 10 past clients and ask for referrals. Mark would like that one. Send out 5 handwritten notes each week. Mark would also like that one. Send out items of value for the first week in each month. So then it designated what week numbers 1 through 12 they would do this. Call 10 homeowners to discuss opportune time to sell, which would be great in this market since things are picking back up. Post on social media once a day. I would say that Justin posts more often than once a day. So he went over 2 weeks ago how to schedule your social media. So you're only doing it once a week or once a month, and you don't have to go in there every day to do it. Target a neighborhood and send 50 letters per week. Develop letter to promote selling homes, conduct open houses at least twice a month. This one should be really easy for everyone. We always see people posting on the Red One page and the AMP page about open houses. And then this is just what they would do for 12 weeks in order to try to generate the sales to get the 40,000 in gross commission income. And on this, there are several different plans, but the real estate agent one was the closest one to what we do. But I'll click on another one just so you guys can see that each of these are different. This is more my style. I would probably just do it for each day so I can check the box for each of these. That would allow me to feel better. These ones pick a day each week to and plan meals for the week. Most of these are weekly. I prefer daily tasks or something that I could do multiple times throughout the week in order to achieve the goal. This is to get their life and home organized over the next 12 weeks. And I can send this out, this website out when I send it out. Jack, for today? Any other questions?
Hey Malika, it's
Uh,
Justin.
I-
Were you naturally organized, like kind of coming into this, or is it something you had to work at?
I would say I've been like a type A person my whole life, so I've always made myself to-do list, and then after college, I was in the corporate world, so we've always had a ton of meetings every day, so that really taught me how to follow a schedule. Unfortunately, I don't enjoy being in meetings all day, but that was really how I started my adult life, and eventually got to a point where I had to block off my calendar in order to actually get work done because we would be in meetings for at least 6 or 7 hours a day. Now my husband, on the other hand, he prefers to just wing it and live life and enjoy, and that does not work well for me. But we've learned to manage and make a happy medium between the two of us. But I'm definitely very organized and I like to plan things. It just helps me out.
Do you have any other apps that you use to support your time management or your organization other than like stuff that like obviously your calendar and like I know Calendly is like a popular thing. Is there anything similar like that that you've ever used or that you do use?
I've used Calendly, but I don't really set appointments with people. I think if I needed to, like if, for instance, the topic of clients and them wanting to go to showings, I think Calendly would be a great help as far as letting clients schedule on there. The only issue I see with that is maybe the distance. You don't know how long it would take you to get from A to B in there, but I would say if you scheduled an hour per showing, you could always do that, and then you could refer clients to your Calendly link, and they could schedule showings, and they could type in the address that they wanted to go see, and then you could book it on showing time. I
Thank you.
did it. Go ahead, Justin.
No, I was just saying thank you.
Well, I like Google. You can send out calendar invites from there. So when there are certain things that I want to share with, whether that's rev share pods or family members or investors, clients, I just share it through there. And they can have it on their calendar as well.
It's Dana again. So for those people who don't really like love using a calendar or more of a visual person, I mean, a visual calendar, or someone mentioned a paper calendar. So I still kind of do both. I do obviously keep things on my calendars My personal Google calendar syncs to my business calendar. But I also have a dry erase board in my office at home. But I don't write on the dry erase board. So what I do is I just take small sticky notes and I place the appointment on the sticky note or the time management block on the sticky note. And then I place the sticky note in that box on the dry erase board because often things get shifted. So if I can just take it off that square and move it to the next day, that way I'm not like erasing and rewriting stuff. I just like write it once, and then if it has to get shifted, then I'll move it that way. That's just something I do as well too. And that's more of my visual because I'm a visual person. So I feel like, yes, I can look at my calendar on my computer screen, but often if I get up in the morning and go straight to my home office, I have to be able to see what's on my calendar for the day by looking at that visual calendar in my office.
And on some computers, you're able to, like, if you use your search box, there's a Post-it note app, and you can, if you set your background as the calendar for the month, you can add Post-it notes that way too, so that it's on every time you open up your computer screen.
It's a great idea too. Mhm.
Well, I think this will be the first one where everyone gets out a smidge early. I won't hold everyone unless you have questions, then I'd be happy to stay on and answer questions.
So, I don't, I think we're gonna wait. So, it sounds like, Google Calendar,
Yes,
for the most part, they're probably stay organized.
yes.
I use that well, I found that, something that I try to do, my technique is, when I wake up in the morning, I'll, get a notepad, and I'll just write down today's date, then today's to-do list, just things that I know I gotta get done. And then by writing it down, kind of helps me remember. And when you write that check next to it, it's kind of satisfying.
Yes, I agree.
And just writing it down, kind of like, it's, this plan. That, plus the calendar, so I go from a lot, because then if someone wants to see a house, someone wants to meet, or maybe a buyer's consultation, it's cool, we look at my calendar. Because again, I feel like that's what we saw, and then have so much less anxiety, you know. That's what we try to do.
Were you guys able to hear that? He said that he normally goes in and when he wakes up, he writes down his list of things to do for that day. And he also keeps a calendar in Google Calendar, but if somebody were to need a buyer's consultation, or if he had to add something into his day, then he feels more comfortable and confident in his ability to do that. And then he also likes to check things off. So when he's got his to-do list written down, and he checks off a task after it's completed, then he feels more accomplished for the day. Oh, you can, I think it'll, as long as I'm quiet, then you're good.
I'll just keep reading. The other thing is that you probably already know, but on Google Calendar, there's like another section within the calendar that's the tasks. So instead of like writing it down on notepad, you can write it on there too, but I just personally feel like it's more of a monotonous. And then I just, edit what I want. So that's why I just put part of like, in notepad, but in tasks on there, we kind of like work with the calendar, so we oh, follow the vendor, regarding pretty cool the second time. And it should be more completion.
And then he also mentioned that there's a task portion for Google Calendar that you can add tasks to it that way. And then it should remind you to do the task also on your iPhone or your Android. there's reminder or tasks apps on there as well. All right, I will let everyone go. It was nice chatting with you all. I will send out the PowerPoint this evening and then a link to Calendly and the 12-week year.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Maleeka.
Maleeka.
Thank you. Bye.